For those of you watching who don't know who I am, my name is Tyler Volz, and I have had the pleasure of being the voice of AAW for the past 2 years. Previously, I've been involved in the world of professional wrestling for 8 years prior to joining AAW, and I'm just blessed to be here. I'm happy to be a part of this team. I love seeing this place packed every single month, calling the best wrestling on the planet. It's truly my dream come true.
Well, faithful, say goodbye to the Carolina Caveman for us. Kicks her right in the sternum, and now look at the hoist. Kimberly right where she wants her.
So I actually got started in announcing. I was just a quiet kid in the crowd. We'd go to these shows for a now defunct promotion known as Dreamwave Wrestling. Made some friends in the locker room, one of whom being Mustafa Ali, and he looks at me one day and he says, "You got a good presence, kid. You got a good voice. Let's put a microphone in your hand, let's see what happens." So I actually started off as a backstage interviewer for them. First couple times out was not very good, but the confidence was there that they had in me to deliver the very best that I can. And then one day they needed to fill in for a commentator on a show, and the promoter comes up to me and he's like, "You know how to talk into a microphone. You know these guys' moves, you know their backstories. Go out there and show us what you can do." And the rest is history from there.
The Lucha Brothers, double stomp Fear Factor! Phoenix wiping him out! Ortiz is down! Santana's out cold on the floor!
So I got started in AAW. Once again, it was one of those shows, Jimmy D, the ring announcer, couldn't make it. And Danny Daniels knew who I was, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got an opportunity at the show as a ring announcer." So I wasn't even a commentator yet, I was just a ring announcer. I got an opportunity as a ring announcer on a show, and I'd like for you to come down. I'd like for you to see what you can do. So got started off doing that with them. Myself and Danny kept in pretty decent contact throughout the years. I would peek in and out here and there as a backstage interviewer. And then when they started AAW Vanguard, if you guys remember that one, I was the lead play-by-play voice of AAW Vanguard under my previous moniker of Zach Braxton. Fast forward a few years, and Phil Colvin was announcing that he was going to be done with AAW, and Danny reached out to me again. Mike as well. Mike's been a tremendous friend of mine since I started here as well. They both reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we want to give you the opportunity. We think you're the best play-by-play guy in the area. We think you're probably the best play-by-play guy on the indies. Let's see what you can do. Come call one of our shows. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it." And I've been hooked ever since.
Calling his shot, ACH gets that boot up. Step up Enzi, flurry of kicks.
He's gotta do it.
ACH! Buster call! Star kicks out! Star kicks out! And now ACH getting that 15th win!
Going to his last option.
Up top! 450! A heap of exhaustion with the cover, and David Starr kicks out!
During my time with AAW Vanguard, I learned the difference between calling a match versus calling a show. Previously, you know, I was one of those guys that I called every single match as just an individual match, and my goal was to just go balls to the wall and go crazy every single time that I was calling one specific match. And it was, this opening match is as important as the main event. Starting with Vanguard, it was like, all right, there's stories to be told here. There's character development that you have to get on there. You can't call every single guy like they're the top guy. You can build people, but you got to realize that there's a hierarchy just like anywhere else. In the professional world, in the business world, and in the professional wrestling world, there's a hierarchy of that card. And you gotta put over the people that you have to put over the right way. And it just taught me how to properly space out what I would consider to be my spots, not blow every single call that I have on the first 2 matches, and then the main event I'm spent.
Crossface! The crossface is locked in!
She's got it locked in.
Kimberly taps! We have a new champ! We have a new women's champion!
It's over!
Kylie Ray has done it! Kylie Ray is your new AAW Women's Champ!
History has been made. Let's make it official.
11 minutes, 38 seconds. Your winner and
The thing I most enjoy about being part of the AAW crew is the fact that I get to see friends once a month. Not just the people that are a part of the crew, but people that sit in that crowd as well. I mean, I was one of them at one time. I attend AAW shows myself just as a fan. I love the product. I love coming to shows and watching Johnny Gargano and watching Shane Hollister and watching these guys do the thing that they do best. And I went from being a part of that crowd to being part of the behind the scenes, and I never wanted to lose touch of considering those people my friends and those people my family. And now that I'm part of the crew, you know, whether it's Rob or Brian or Mike or Tony or Danny or even any of the guys in the locker room, it really, it gives me familiar friends to see once a month, familiar hands to shake once a month, and it's just a really cool feeling. It's nice to be accepted into something that you've always wanted to be.
And now, suplex this Manser into the chairs in the crowd.
Oh, my favorite moments in AAW. I mean, there's so many to list, but some of the things that come to mind, obviously the rise of Rey Fenix, watching him go from just a Lucha Libre sensation to becoming the face of the company. Obviously the return of Sami Callihan after he left WWE, him just coming through guns blazing and kicking ass and taking names. It was great professional wrestling. Most recently, obviously, the ACH Trevor Lee 60-minute Iron Man match, you know, not only just because it was an incredible contest from them two, but it was something I personally have never done before, and it was something that I always wanted to do, was to call a 60-minute match. I wanted to see what I was made of as a commentator. How can I make this 60-minute match as compelling as I possibly can on my end of the spectrum? And then, I mean, just outside of that, like I said, I can just continue to talk about these all day, whether it's, you know, DJZ becoming the biggest fan favorite that this company's had, Josh Alexander returning just a few months ago. Like, there's so many cool things that have happened recently, especially, that I just look back on and I'm like, I've gotten to do some really, really cool things being involved here at AAW.
Trevor Lee was able to kick out. Buster Call! Trevor Lee out again. ACH floats over the top. ACH is up top. Both no. Trevor Lee got the knees up.
Wait a second. We're at an hour.
Trevor Lee got the knees up.
We're at an hour.
60 minutes has been reached. We are awaiting a referee's decision.
They hit an hour. No winner.
Referee's waving it off. Official announcement coming from Jimmy D.
I think I bring a passion to what I do every single time I step forth behind a microphone. A lot of times, independent professional wrestling commentary has a negative stigma behind it. It has this stigma of it's, oh, this guy just got the gig because he's friends with the promoter, or he's, you know, can crack a joke here or there. I never wanted to be that guy. I never wanted to be the person that took the attention off the ring, took the attention off the match, and put it on myself. I always had from the get-go. I didn't care if anybody that was listening to me calling a match or watching a DVD, a show, knew who I was. I don't care if they knew the name of Tyler Volz. What I cared about was that any wrestler that was in this ring was the one that ultimately became the biggest star that they possibly could. Whether it's Jake Something and me, you know, just the way that I call a Jake Something match and the way that I articulate what he does. And now look at him, he's the Heritage Champion. I'm not saying that, you know, I take credit for any of that, but I think my job as a commentator is one of those ones that definitely helps. It helps get a new guy over that people may not have heard of before. You have a guy that, you know, has never been to the company before, this area before. My job is to find out as much backstory as I possibly can on that guy and figure out how to make it make sense, and ultimately, like I said, to make him seem like the biggest star possible. So I definitely think my passion for what I do, my research that I do, and the fact that every single time that I call a match, you're gonna get the very best out of me. I think that's what separates me from the pack.
As you watch AAW Unstoppable, my name is Tyler Volz. Joining me on the call tonight, none other than Marty DeRosa. And Marty, look at the contest we have kicking off Unstoppable right now.
Tyler, a bit of a styles clash. Wolf giving up a little bit of weight here against AC Baby
Yeah,
Ace Romero. Just a couple LBs.
Just a couple LBs, you know, it's no big deal. And honestly, if you were to talk to Steve...
My goal in professional wrestling is to leave a positive impact. Whether it's just here on the local level, or if it's on the national level or the international level. I want to change the stigma about commentary. I want people to look at professional wrestling commentary and the people that do it, I want them to look at them seriously. I want them to look at the commentators and the guys that sit behind the microphone every month. I want them to look at these guys and be like, wow, 90% of these guys care about what they're doing. There's the 10% that gives them the bad name. Selfishly, I do want to do that outside of AAW. My biggest goal, I want to do this for a living. Outside of professional wrestling, I manage a restaurant. It's a great job. I make a great salary. But my passion's always been professional wrestling. My passion's always been to do this for my life. My passion has always been to give 110% of what I do to professional wrestling. And whether that's with WWE, AEW, Impact, New Japan, or even if it's AAW. I just want to look back on what I did in professional wrestling and be proud of the impact that I made. I'm Tyler Volz, and this is The Crew.